Hello everyone, and welcome to another highlights video, this time for Second Chance, a Battle Mage Reborn, Book 1, an End World Everlasting Saga by R. Brady Frost. I have 5 major highlights for this book. The first is that this is a died and is trapped in a game story. Usually this type of story is not my thing, but Mr. Frost does a great job at making it believable and making me invest in the main protagonist before we even get into the game. The situation is believable, and the tragedy that brought him into the situation really makes you sympathize with the character. That brings me to my second major highlight, which is the first 1/8 of the book, and it's a long book, be aware, is the setup for the main story. It's almost a novella in and of itself that tells us what happened before the in-game story happened. The future is slightly dystopian. The setup story is interesting in its own way, but it definitely has a more slice-of-life feel at first, again, before you get into the game. However, it introduces some interesting questions and mysteries that the story explores later on. And it sets up kind of this question as to what actually is Endworld. What is this new world that the main character finds himself in? There's a lot of interesting characters. Oh, and who are all these people that's surrounding him? So there's a lot of interesting questions to be asked, or that beginning portion of the book asks, and you kind of carry those through with you through the entire book. That brings me to my third highlight, which is the entire time the main character is essentially a noob, is the next phase of the book. You get introduced to some of the game mechanics there, and he learns that even inside the game, there is a bit of a stagnation among some of the players. And his coming to Endworld has shaken things up a little bit, and allowed or forced, we're not really sure which, the AI that runs the whole system to open up some interesting quests and provide some secondary characters that have already had a really rough time of it in Endworld a chance to grow again. Actually, there's this really interesting subplot for the entire thing, which is essentially these characters who have been around for a while, and you get to feel that they've lived in this world for a while, been beaten down. There's this whole almost a redemption story for that. And the main character is essentially an opportunity generator for everyone else at first, and that's really interesting. Until he comes into his own, he starts actually doing things of his own. People start hearing that, hey, you're getting quests. Who are you getting quests from? Whoa. And so it kind of it's a really interesting mechanic essentially for new players that come in, or at least for this main character, which comes in and essentially starts opening up all these opportunities for everyone else. That's actually my biggest highlight, is that redemption story for these characters. That brings me to my fourth highlight. There is a strong feeling of mystery about the entire experience in Endworld, some of which you can pick up rather easily if you pay close attention. Others feel like they come out of nowhere, like a Mack truck. But if you go back, you can actually see the through line in the story from the beginning. Little hints and things that Mr. Frost has put through the entire book. That brings me to number 5. This is a book 1, and personally I'm excited to see where the author takes the series. What this means is that not all of the questions are answered in this book. And that can feel a little frustrating since it is such a long book, but that means that we get the opportunity to have some awesome second book and even third book, and maybe more depending on how much Mr. Frost wants to write, or where he wants the story to lead to. We get an opportunity to kind of naturally get a conclusion rather than it almost feeling forced down our throats. Like, unfortunately, some books that I've read in the genre tend to do. When the author gets kind of sick of writing it, they kind of shove an end down their reader's throat. This very much feels like the author hasn't left himself room to do that. There are a lot of questions and setup things and a bunch of interesting ideas that the author is very much investing in this story, and it feels like the author has a plan for the rest of the saga. Well, that's my last highlight. Thank you for listening, everyone. If you like this video and like to support either my efforts in making more or the awesome authors who work to make these videos possible, please check out the video description. If you're on YouTube, or just simply purchase the book above if you're on Amazon. Thank you all. Have a great new year. And 2020, yay. Or 2020 is coming to an end. Yay. Good night and good luck, everyone.